All right, so you just crushed that job interview, like totally nailed it. But hold on, before you start celebrating, there's one more thing you absolutely can't forget.
The dreaded thank you note.
The thank you note. Yeah, exactly. We're going
Yeah.
to do a deep dive into some expert advice from Rezoom. That's a website packed with career tips and tricks to help you write a thank you note that isn't just polite, but actually boosts your chances of getting that job offer.
So many people think thank yous are just about good manners, but they're way more strategic than that. It's like a mini follow-up interview where you really drive home that awesome impression you made.
Like a bonus round, right? You showed them what you got. Now it's time to really seal the deal. And Rezoom actually lists 5 big reasons why these emails are so powerful.
Totally. And the first one is pretty straightforward. They show appreciation, plain and simple. It might seem obvious, but in a huge pile of applicants, taking that extra minute to say thanks can really help you stand out.
It's like you're saying, hey, I was actually listening, and I value the time you spent with me. So we've got appreciation. What else is on Rezoom's list?
Number 2, this is a biggie. It reinforces your interest in the position. Think about it from the hiring manager's perspective. They've met tons of candidates. So seeing that continued enthusiasm after the interview can make a real difference.
It's almost like saying, I'm not just going through the motions here. I really want this.
Okay.
Appreciation, interest. What else makes these thank you notes so effective?
Well, number 3 is standing out from the crowd. In a crazy competitive job market, even the smallest things can tip the scales. A well-written thank you can be that extra oomph that makes you memorable.
So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. You want to be unforgettable.
I'm starting to get why Rezoom is such a fan of these notes.
There's more. Reason number 4 is it gives you another chance to highlight your strengths. But it's not just about repeating your resume. It's about strategically reminding them of your skills and how those skills connect to what the company actually needs.
You're basically weaving your qualifications into the conversation you already had, showing them you were paying attention, and you get what they're all about. That's pretty clever, right? And finally, number 5, this one often gets overlooked. A thank you email can actually help you start building relationships. Even if you don't get this specific job, you're making a connection, establishing a professional rapport that could be valuable down the line.
It's like planting a seed, right? You're not just focused on this one opportunity. You're playing the long game.
Right.
Okay. We know why thank you notes matter, but Rezoom is pretty adamant about when you should send them. What's the ideal time frame here?
Timing is key for sure. They really stress a 24-hour window, and it makes sense. Think about it. You want to strike while the iron's hot, while the interview is still fresh in their mind.
Shows you're on the ball, you're enthusiastic, you respect their time. Sending it weeks later just doesn't have the same impact.
Right, so you've got that 24-hour window in mind. What makes a really great thank you email? Rezoom breaks it down into 6 essential elements, like a recipe for success.
I'm ready to take notes. Lay it on me. What's the first ingredient?
First up, a polite greeting. This might seem obvious, but they really emphasize personalizing it for each person you met. No mass emails.
Gotcha. No, dear hiring manager, we're digging for names and using them.
Exactly. Take that extra minute to double-check titles and spellings. It shows you're detail-oriented.
Personalized greeting check. What's next in our thank you note recipe?
Next up, gratitude. But not just a generic thanks for your time. Mention something specific you learned about the role or the company that you found interesting.
So instead of a bland thank you, it's more like, I was really interested in your company's focus on sustainability, or I especially enjoyed learning about that new project you're developing. You're showing you absorbed the information.
Spot on. Those are perfect examples. It proves you are engaged. Now here's where it gets interesting. Rezoom calls the third element the personalized mention, and this is where you can really shine. It's about referencing something specific. You talked about something that makes your email stand out.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
But how do we do that without just rehashing the whole interview?
It's about picking those little moments that resonated with you. Did you connect over a shared interest? Did they mention a project that sparked your curiosity? Was there a challenge they discussed that you have experience with?
So like if they mentioned they're into hiking and you are too, that's something you could weave in. It's not just random, it shows you were listening.
Exactly. Or maybe they talked about a challenge the company is facing and you've dealt with similar things in the past. Boom. That's a chance to show them you're already thinking about how you can help.
So it's not showing off. It's strategically reminding them why you're unique. But keep it short and sweet, right? No need to write a novel.
Absolutely. Just a few well-placed sentences can do the trick. Okay. Greeting, gratitude, personalized touch. What's next on Rezoom's list?
Hit me with ingredient number 4.
Time for reaffirmation. This is where you briefly restate why you're a great fit. But we're not just copying and pasting from our resume.
Right, we're taking it up a notch. How do we do that?
It's all about connecting your skills to the company's goals. Like, instead of saying, I'm great at project management, you could say, I'm confident my project management skills can help streamline your workflow and achieve your goals for the new product launch.
So you're not just listing skills. You're painting a picture of how those skills benefit them specifically. It's like you're already part of the team.
You got it. Okay, now for the fifth element. And this is where some people get a little nervous. Next steps.
This is where we subtly nudge them towards the job offer, right?
Not exactly. It's more about expressing your enthusiasm for the next stage and offering any extra information they might need.
So something like, I'm excited to hear about next steps and happy to provide any further details you might need. You're showing you're proactive without being pushy.
Nailed it. It's a balancing act for sure. Okay, last ingredient in our thank you note recipe, the professional sign-off.
This seems straightforward, but I'm guessing there are some nuances here.
You bet. Even if the interview was super casual, Rezoom says don't get too casual in your sign-off. Stick with a classic best regards or, sincerely, followed by your full name and contact info.
So we're ending on a polished note. No matter how friendly the interview was, we want to keep it professional.
Exactly. So there you have it, the 6 essential elements. But Rezoom doesn't stop there. They also have tips on avoiding common mistakes and making your thank you note really stand out.
Okay, let's hear it. What are their pro tips?
First up, keep it concise, short, sweet, to the point. Respect the reader's time and don't ramble. You want to leave them with a positive impression, not overwhelm them with a wall of text.
Short and sweet. Gotcha. What else should we be mindful of?
This seems obvious, but it's crucial proofread, like your job depends on it. Because honestly, it might.
Yeah, a thank you note with typos isn't exactly a good look.
Right. It makes you look careless.
Yeah.
Double check for any grammar or spelling errors. A fresh pair of eyes can be super helpful.
Always good advice. Okay, concise and error-free. What's next on Rezoom's list of don'ts?
Generic templates. Avoid them like the plague. A one-size-fits-all thank you email is a surefire way to get ignored. It shows you haven't put in the effort to personalize your message.
It's like sending a generic holiday card with no personal note. Nobody feels special receiving that.
Exactly. Each thank you email should be tailored to the specific person and the details of your conversation. Remember that personalized mention we talked about? That's where it really shines.
Oh, the generic templates, got it.
Yeah.
What about the tone of the email? Any advice there?
Rezoom talks about matching the tone of the company culture, but without being fake. If it's a super formal company, you wouldn't want to use slang. But if it's more relaxed, you can inject a bit more of your personality.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between professional and showing your true colors. A bit of a balancing act.
Exactly. The key is to be genuine. Don't force a tone that doesn't feel natural. Let your real self shine through while still keeping it professional. Now, what about follow-up? Is it okay to reach out if you don't hear back right away?
That's a tricky one. What does Rezoom say?
They definitely advise against bombarding the hiring manager with emails. Nobody wants that. But they do encourage being patient, yet proactive. If you haven't heard back within a reasonable time frame, a polite follow-up is totally fine.
Okay, so no stalking their inbox, but a gentle nudge is okay. Any tips on what to say in that follow-up?
Keep it short and polite. Reiterate your interest. Ask about the timeline for a decision, and offer to answer any more questions they might have.
Got it. Patience is key, but it's okay to remind them you're still interested. Anything else to keep in mind?
Rezoom makes one final point that ties back to what we discussed earlier, highlighting your value. They emphasize this isn't bragging. It's about strategically reminding the interviewer of your unique skills.
So in our thank you note, we're subtly reminding them why we're a perfect fit without sounding arrogant.
Exactly. You're leaving them with a strong impression of your value and showing you've really thought about how your skills can help their company.
Well, we've covered a lot here. It's clear that thank you emails are more than just good manners. They're a chance to really impress potential employers.
Absolutely. But Rezoom doesn't stop there. They actually recommend a few other things that can boost your job search, like focusing on your LinkedIn profile and building a killer resume.
Those felt a bit tacked on at the end of the article. What's the connection to thank you notes?
It's about taking a holistic approach. Think of it this way. The thank you email is your closing argument after a killer interview. But you need a strong case to begin with, right?
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about how these other resources fit into the big picture.
Well, LinkedIn is like the modern-day networking hub. It's where you build your profile and connect with people and even find jobs. Rezoom seems to be saying that having a strong LinkedIn presence can make your thank you email even more powerful.
So if the hiring manager likes your email, they might look you up on LinkedIn. And if they find a polished profile that backs up what you said. It just reinforces that positive impression.
Precisely. It's like adding another layer of credibility. Now, when it comes to resumes, Rezoom is all about making sure yours stands out from the pile.
And that's where their resume building resources come in.
You got it. They offer templates, tips, and tools to help you create a resume that really highlights your qualifications in a clear and compelling way.
So it's not just listing your jobs and skills, it's about presenting yourself strategically in a way that gets noticed.
Right. Think of your resume as your opening statement. It's the first impression, and it needs to be strong enough to get you that interview.
And then the thank you email comes in as your powerful closing argument.
Exactly. It's all connected. A strong resume gets you in the door. A stellar interview makes a lasting impression, and a well-crafted thank you note seals the deal.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It's a three-pronged attack on the job market.
That's one way to put it. Each element has a crucial role in your success.
Okay, so Rezoom is saying, take a holistic approach, build a strong foundation with a great resume shine in the interview, and then follow up with a personalized thank you email that leaves them wanting more.
Precisely. It's about presenting yourself as a cohesive and impressive package that showcases your value and makes you a memorable candidate.
All right, I think we've hit all the key points from Rezoom's advice. What are your final thoughts on this whole thank you note strategy? Is it really that game-changing?
I think it's a crucial step that often gets overlooked. In a competitive market, every little thing counts, and a well-written thank you email can be that one thing that sets you apart.
It's like the icing on the cake. You've baked a delicious cake with your resume and interview skills, but the icing is what makes it truly irresistible.
I love that analogy. It perfectly captures why thank you notes are so important.
So what's the one takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with from this deep dive?
Don't underestimate the power of a thank you note. It's more than just a formality. It's a chance to reiterate your interest, show your value, and leave a really positive impression.
And remember, personalize it.
Absolutely. No generic templates. Take the time to tailor each email to the specific person and the details of your conversation.
Make them feel like they're the only candidate in your mind.
That's the goal.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were really digging into those thank you notes and how they can help you snag that dream job.
Yeah, we were talking about how essential they are, especially in such a competitive job market.
And we talked about Rezoom's advice on writing the perfect thank you email. But they also mentioned a few other resources that can give your job search a boost: LinkedIn and resume building.
Yes, and I love how they connected those resources back to the idea of a thank you note.
That connection felt kind of fuzzy to me at first. Can you break it down for us? How do LinkedIn and a killer resume actually work with a thank you note?
It's like building a solid foundation for your whole application. That thank you note is your closing argument, but you need a strong case before that, right?
So we're not just sending a thank you out into the abyss.
Yeah.
We're creating this whole system that supports it. I like that. Tell me more about how LinkedIn plays into this.
Okay, so picture this. You send this awesome thank you note, and the hiring manager is impressed. What's one of the first things they might do?
Probably Google you, right? Or since we're talking about the professional world, maybe head straight to LinkedIn.
Exactly. And if they find a well-made LinkedIn profile that matches everything you said in your email and interview, it just reinforces that good impression.
So it's like, okay, this person isn't all talk. They actually walk the walk. Their online presence matches what they're saying.
Right. It makes you seem more credible and helps you stand out. Now let's talk about resume. Rezoom really wants to make sure yours is top-notch and really catches their eye.
So they're not just saying, have a resume. They're actually giving specific advice on building a great one.
They are. They've got templates, tips, even tools to help you create a resume that highlights your best qualities in a clear and compelling way.
I've seen so many resumes that are just boring lists of jobs and duties. What's their secret for making yours different?
It's all about presentation. Instead of just listing your tasks, focus on the impact you made in each role. What did you accomplish? How did you help the company succeed?
So instead of just saying, I manage social media accounts, you could say something like, I grew the company's social media following by 20% and increased engagement by 15% through strategic content creation and targeted campaigns.
There you go. Now you're not just telling them what you did, you're showing the results.
Yeah.
It paints a much clearer picture of what you can do.
And that brings us back to the thank you note. If the resume is your opening statement, the thank you is your chance to really hammer home those points and leave a lasting impression.
You got it. It's about telling a cohesive story throughout the entire job search.
It's like a 3-act play act. 1 is your resume introducing yourself and your skills act. 2 is the interview where you bring those skills to life. And Act 3 is the thank you note, where you leave them wanting more.
I love that analogy. It really shows how each part plays a crucial role in telling your story and showing your value.
Okay, you've convinced me. Rezoom's approach is about more than just a quick email. It's about creating this powerful narrative that starts with a great resume, shines in the interview, and ends with a thank you note that seals the deal.
It's about being strategic and deliberate every step of the way.
You know, I have to admit, I've struggled with writing thank you notes that don't sound generic or fake. Have you ever had that problem?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people have trouble finding that sweet spot between being professional and letting their personality shine through.
What would you say to someone who's staring at a blank email, feeling totally lost?
First, take a deep breath and remember, the hiring manager is a person too. They don't want a robotic email. They want to see your genuine enthusiasm and get a sense of who you are.
So it's okay to let a little bit of your personality show.
Of course. Think about the interview. What did you connect on? Did you have any shared interests? Was there a moment that made you laugh?
Those little details can make your thank you notes stand out and show that you're not just another applicant.
So it's like you're continuing the conversation instead of starting something totally new and formal.
Right. You're building on that connection you made during the interview. Okay, I'm starting to feel a bit better about this whole thank you note thing. It's about being yourself and highlighting those moments where you connected.
Exactly. And remember, it's also a chance to remind them why you're the right person for the job. Don't be afraid to reiterate your skills and how they match the company's needs.
It's not bragging. It's just showing your value and how you can contribute.
Exactly. Now, I know we've talked a lot about thank you notes and resumes, but what about LinkedIn? A lot of people have profiles but aren't really sure how to use them effectively.
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of ignoring my LinkedIn profile. It's like this digital ghost of my career just floating around out there. What are some tips for making sure your LinkedIn profile is actually working for you?
I think the biggest mistake people make is treating LinkedIn like a static resume. It's so much more than that. Think of it as your online portfolio where you can showcase your skills, share your thoughts, and connect with people in your field.
So it's not just about listing your job titles. It's about actively using the platform and building your network.
Exactly. And that's especially crucial these days. Hiring managers are using LinkedIn more and more to find and check out candidates. A good profile can really make a difference in whether you even get considered for a job.
So it's like this amazing tool that a lot of people are just wasting. What are some things listeners can do to make their profiles more engaging and attractive to potential employers?
First things first, make sure your profile is complete and up to date. That means a professional photo, a catchy headline that summarizes your expertise, and a detailed summary that highlights your key skills and accomplishments.
So it's not just a quick summary of your resume. It's a deeper dive into who you are and what you can offer.
Right. Think of it like your elevator pitch, but in writing. You want to grab their attention and make them want to know more, and then go beyond the basics and showcase your work.
So like instead of saying, I'm a writer, you could link to articles you've published or projects you've worked on.
Exactly. Think about what makes you stand out, what shows off your skills and experience. You can also use LinkedIn to share your thoughts and ideas about industry trends.
So it's about showing that you're a thought leader, not just someone looking for a job.
Right. By sharing your knowledge and having meaningful conversations, you build credibility and get noticed by potential employers.
This is great advice. It's really changing how I think about using LinkedIn. But I gotta be honest, networking online can feel kind of awkward. Any tips for making those connections feel more genuine?
That's a great question. And I think the key is to focus on relationships, not just adding connections.
So it's not about sending out tons of generic requests. It's about finding people you actually want to connect with and having real conversations.
Exactly. Think about people you admire in your field, people whose work you follow, or even former colleagues you enjoyed working with. Reach out to them with a personal message, maybe mentioning something specific you liked, or asking a thoughtful question about their work.
So you're treating it like any other professional relationship, finding common ground and building rapport.
Right. And remember, networking is a two-way street. It's not just about what you can get, it's also about what you can give.
That's a great point. It's not about promoting yourself. It's about making genuine connections and being a part of your professional community.
Exactly. And when you do that, you're not only growing your network, you're also showing that you're a valuable asset that companies want to have.
Okay, so we've talked about thank you notes, resumes, and LinkedIn. It seems like Rezoom is all about taking a holistic approach to your job search, where everything works together to tell your story and show your value.
Absolutely. It's about being strategic, being intentional, and being yourself throughout the whole process.
This has been such an insightful conversation. It's really making me rethink my own job search strategy and how I can be more intentional about it.
That's great to hear. And I think that leads perfectly into our next topic.
Ooh, I'm listening. What's next?
We're going to switch gears a little and look at something that might seem totally unrelated to finding a job, but actually ties in really well with everything we've been discussing.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Tell me more.
We're going to dive into the world of storytelling and how mastering this ancient art can actually help you land your dream job.
Wow, I never thought about storytelling like that. How does that connect to everything we've been talking about?
Well, think about it. When you're writing your resume, creating your LinkedIn profile, or sending that thank you note, you're basically telling your story.
You're right, I never thought of it that way. It's all about creating a narrative that grabs their attention and makes them want to learn more.
Exactly. And what's more engaging than a good story? We're naturally drawn to them. They make us feel things and help us remember information.
So instead of just listing facts and figures, we're weaving them into a story that makes the hiring manager pay attention.
Precisely. And the best part is everyone has a story. Your experiences, your skills, your passions, they all come together to make you unique and different from everyone else.
Okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do this? How do we take our work experience and turn it into a story that a hiring manager will connect with? Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before the break, we were talking about how LinkedIn and a killer resume can really set you up for success, making that thank you note even more impactful. But now we're taking a turn into a whole new world.
We're going to explore how storytelling, actual storytelling can help you land that dream job.
I have to admit, when you first mentioned storytelling, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But the more we talked, the more it made sense.
It's all about creating a narrative, right? From your resume to your LinkedIn to those all-important thank you notes, you're telling your story.
You're so right. I never thought about it like that. It's like we've been talking about storytelling this whole time.
Exactly. And think about it, what's more engaging than a good story? We're hardwired to connect with stories. They pull us in, make us feel things, and help us remember information.
So instead of just listing facts and figures, we're weaving them into a story that makes the hiring manager really pay attention.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the best part, everyone has a story. Your experiences, your skills, your passions, they all create this unique narrative that makes you stand out.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do this? How do we take our work experience and turn it into a story that resonates with a hiring manager?
That's a great question. And luckily, there are some simple storytelling principles we can use in our job search. One of the most important is finding your hero's journey.
Hold on. Like Luke Skywalker or Frodo? What does that have to do with getting a job?
Think about that classic hero's journey structure. The hero starts in their normal world, then faces a challenge, goes on an adventure, overcomes obstacles, and comes out changed.
Okay, I see where you're going. In the job search world, the hero is us, the job seeker. We're trying to find a fulfilling career, and our journey is all about navigating the ups and downs of the job market.
Exactly. And by looking at your experiences this way, you create a more interesting and memorable story. For example, instead of just listing your old job titles, you can talk about the challenges you faced, the skills you gained, and the results you achieved.
So instead of saying, I was a marketing assistant for 3 years, you might say, I was tasked with revamping the company's social media presence, which was a huge challenge, but I learned a ton about content creation and audience engagement, and I ended up increasing our following by 50%.
Perfect example. You're not just stating facts, you're telling a story with a beginning, middle, and end. And you're showing off those key elements that make you valuable. Your ability to overcome challenges, learn new skills, and get results.
It's like you're taking the hiring manager on a little adventure with you as the hero. And who doesn't love a good hero story?
Exactly. Another important storytelling principle is knowing your audience. Think about what the hiring manager cares about. What are their problems? What are they looking for in a candidate?
So we're not just telling any story, we're tailoring it to the specific person we're trying to impress.
Right. For example, let's say you're interviewing for a project management role at a company that's known for being fast-paced. You might want to highlight your ability to handle a lot of projects under pressure. Maybe telling a story about how you solved a problem quickly.
So you're showing them through your story that you're not just qualified, you're a perfect fit for their company culture.
Exactly. And that's where those personal details in your thank you note can really shine. By referencing something specific from the conversation you're showing that you were paying attention, you understand their needs, and you're already thinking about how you can help.
It's like saying, I get you. I understand what you need, and I'm here to help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the power of storytelling. It lets you connect with the hiring manager on a deeper level and make a lasting impression.
This has been so eye-opening. I never realized how important storytelling is in the job search. It's not just about listing your qualifications. It's about creating a story that grabs their attention and makes them want to hire you.
Absolutely. And remember, the best stories are the ones that are genuine and true to yourself. Don't be afraid to show your personality and let the hiring manager see who you really are.
So to everyone out there looking for a job, think of yourself as a storyteller. You have a unique story to tell. Embrace it, practice it, and use it to land that dream job.
And remember, every hero faces challenges. But with a little creativity, some persistence, and a well-told story, you can achieve anything.
That's a wrap on today's deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this journey into thank you notes and the power of storytelling. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep telling your story.